Hey. Ooh. Hey.
Soul division is a concept that challenges our belief systems. The idea that a soul has the ability to split and have many facets without degradation stretches our understanding of individualism. When we are human, we understand that we are one focused individual. But the truth is, we are many experiences simultaneously exploring ourselves uniquely. A soul can divide itself as many times as it wants to. Liken this to cell division in biology. As a cell divides, it splits from the whole to create a new unit. Soul division is cell division. Each soul has the capacity to create something new, and your consciousness is limitless and has the freedom and the capacity to create any experience it wants to an infinite degree. The soul uses a Merkabah. This comes from the Hebrew word meaning vehicle, chariot of light or spirit. The Merkabah houses and transports our consciousness into an incarnation that energetically deposited into a physical mind. Although it's true we are existing simultaneously with an infinite variable, we can and do exist in the same dimensions or others at the same time and in more than one experience. In other words, multiple incarnations occurring simultaneously. A good example is a twin soul. This is one soul splitting into two to experience itself from a mirror image. This allows the self to expand, learn, and grow to an infinite ability. The truth is, we have quite literally an infinite ability to split and expand our experience any way we choose, with the sole purpose of discovering ourselves. The vessel is the bridge and the vehicle of our expansion. We are the seeds that are multifaceted and have an eternity to learn from it. All right. Well, I tell you, I'm a little rusty here. Sorry about that, everybody. It's clickety click. Things just were not happening the way they usually do, but that's all good because we're here now.
She's
Welcome,
back.
everyone. Welcome to Andromeda 7, your celestial gateway, your channel for community support, love, friendship, and knowledge, and just being of value to others. So welcome, everyone. Good to see everybody here tonight. We've got a really good panel tonight. We have Nick and Jasmine in the lower left, fire and water. Welcome, you two. We also have a special guest tonight with Grandpa Brian, and that's Black Raven Meditation. So good to have Black Raven here with us tonight. Dalibor, our ride or die, always here, always with us. Thank you so much for your support, your love and support. Theresa, thank you for being here as well, and all you do to help us put this together. Really, really appreciate all your hard work and dedication and your love.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. People are kind of slowly coming in. This is going to be kind of a deep subject tonight, and I'm sure it's going to, hopefully it kind of opens you up a little bit. But if you're here, that means you're open to new concepts, ideas, and are willing to listen. So hello, Lee. Good to have you with us. Let's say hello to everybody. Sophia, hope you're relaxing and resting. I know you had a long trip. Hope everybody's well in your family. You made it home safely, so it's time to chillax.
So get your Snickers on, girl. Let's see. Beloved Abstract, good to see you. Namaste, my friend. Good to see ya.
Yep.
And let's see who else. Lucky Stone. Good to see you, Lucky Stone. I caught a little bit of your show with Courtney. Is it Courtney?
Yeah. Courtney, that
Yeah,
was a good debate. That
yeah,
was good.
pretty
Yeah.
cool stuff. I noticed you were on GoGo's channel. So boy, if you made it to GoGo's channel, you're really somebody now. That's awesome. Good for you. Hi, Mary Wins. Good to see you. Always a pleasure. Love
Hey,
seeing you
married
in here.
sister.
Awesome, awesome. Well, so tonight we're talking about, also too, I wanted to just acknowledge our brothers and sisters from Indiana that are watching, that are not in chat, but they're silently there and just kind of hanging out with us. Thank you for being here. Sure, a lot of people from Indiana, and we love you all. So thank you for being here and with us.
Yeah.
So tonight we're talking about that soul division, expansion, and awareness. And Theresa and I have been really diving deep into this subject. And we've done literally over 300 shows since 2020. And we've mm, rubbed the surface on this Merkabah thing and the soul and these other things. But things hadn't really come together until recently. And so I have one question for everyone on the panel. I'd just like to have a yes or no answer, and then we'll kind of take it from there and get into this. Um, Nick, Jasmine, do you have a soul?
Yes.
Jasmine, do you have a soul?
According to the Bible, it says yes.
Okay. Grandpa Brian and Black Raven, do you have a soul?
No.
Nope.
Oh, well, that's interesting, Black Raven, that you say you do not have a soul. Very good.
Yes.
Uh, Front of the class for you, Black Raven. Delabore, do you have a soul?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, and I'm not going to ask you, Theresa, because you already know this, but wouldn't it be interesting to understand that you technically you do not have a soul? You are a soul. And I used to believe that you were a soul having a human experience, and now I do understand that you're a soul having a soul experience. And this is
Hmm.
really mind-bending, because when I heard this the first time, I thought, oh, well, isn't this interesting? I really wanted to dive into this. So Theresa and I spent a lot of time diving into the subject, and Theresa had come up with a really great diagram of how everything works. So I took her notes and made a nice little diagram out of it, and I want to go over this with everybody to kind of explain how this all works, which is just fascinating. So I'm going to pull this diagram up here, okay? And let me get rid of that little banner there so it's not in our way. Okay, now this is really interesting because this is what we have learned. And so we are sharing what we've learned. Take it for what it's worth. Um, take a few sips of it. If it doesn't resonate, it's okay. It's all good. But this is what we've come to understand. So you see the 3 concentric circles here. And each circle contains part of your soul. So you have the I am soul that's at the top here, at the very top of this graph. And then your soul is an orb of light. That's the physical aspect of it. And that orb of light is your consciousness. So it goes soul, orb of light, consciousness. Okay. And in the same ring here, you have the infinite being, which is that being of you that is infinitely always there, always has been, always will be. No beginning, no middle, no end. You have just always existed. Okay. The I am soul and the orb of light and the consciousness will drop down into the next concentric circle, which has your qualities, your attributes, the particles, your incarnations, your memory. And this is an energy ripple that actually flows in a circle. So these attributes are the things that you as a consciousness want to experience. So you're going to pull attributes out of this. Maybe you want to be very smart when you come in your next lifetime. Qualities. Maybe you want to have a lot of money. Maybe you want to be middle of the road, whatever that might be. Particles. You're going to choose what particles you want to become. Are you going to be an animal, a plant, a human being, an alien on another planet, or a planet. I mean, anything that you can be physically, that soul can go into. So that is the little energy pool and the ripples of where your soul grabs all this information and brings it into the middle and deposits it into that physical mind seed, which is the pineal gland in the human brain. All of these things drop into that part of your anatomy, and that's where you begin to live your life and you learn and grow and become who you're going to be. Um, the fascinating thing about this is that you are connected with your spirit to soulmates, and those are part of this. You're interconnected with your soulmates. You're interconnected with your twin souls, and the twin souls are literally one soul split into two, so that they can experience each other from a mirror image. And then you've got your soul families on the right there. These are souls that come in together because they love working together. They have a really strong connection. They've had lifetimes over lifetimes. There's a real trust and bond with them. And that's why soul families come in together to experience things. Soul families can work like you might have a brother or a sister in the next lifetime. It could be your husband or wife, your mother, father. We all exchange, we all change roles, and that's how we kind of go at it with that. But this was really interesting because I never really broke it down or thought about it in this way, because
Yeah.
being a soul and just going, wow, I'm
Yeah.
consciousness. Okay, now you know, and I'm a light being. Now I want to be physical. Now I really want to create something different and something new. And this is how our understanding of how it works comes
Hmm.
together. Now, the fascinating thing about this is, and we all know what a Merkabah is, and you can see this Merkabah right here. Well, the interesting thing about the Merkabah is this is where the soul is housed and where it all comes together and how it travels and moves into into physical being. And Theresa, you've got some information on that Merkabah and how that works. So I thought that'd be interesting for you to talk about that.
Yes, I would. But can we go back to the diagram that you were talking about, the circle,
Sure.
for just a second?
Yeah,
In
go
the
ahead.
upper right, in the upper right hand corner, it says "My Spirit." You see that? My
Mm-hmm.
Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to think I was a spirit having a physical experience.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, I am, because outside of this circle, which represents soul, are other multiple souls. And so every spirit being a conscious fractal of one source energy that I call God or source. And source to me, I have come to understand, is consciousness. And so um, the fractals of spirit are conscious spirit beings that need a mechanism. They need a way to come down into the physical. And so the arrows are showing spirit going in and out of the soul, which is the vehicle Laurie just described. That innermost um, center part, that physical mind seed, and the arrows that she's showing that go in and out of all the qualities, attributes, it's a pulsating effect, because at any point in time, the soul says, okay, I'm going to put them in for that frame of existence. Maybe it's Greece, maybe it's Rome, during 1,000 years BC in our way of thinking. And then when they finish that experience or that frame, they'll put that information back into that circular motion, because they've gained knowledge and experiences, and then they'll pull again, and allow you in the soul is allowing spirit to participate in a different frame. And some of these frames are multidimensional. They're all going on at the same time everywhere. And some are just now. So you can be overlapping in different frames of existence, because these attributes of you, these qualities of what you're trying to experience, are being pulled in and out and in and out. And you can have the similar experiences I learned last night through just a vision is you can have a reverse effect going on. You want to experience both sides of something. So you might have different frames where I'm Theresa existing in more than one location at one time.
Yeah, and
It's very powerful. It's not degrading or weakening in any way.
Mhm.
It's expanding your consciousness like crazy. Go ahead, Laurie.
I would just like to say that the spirit is the personality and the
Mm-hmm.
soul is the infinite being.
Mm-hmm.
And so, those two kind of get really, it's easy to mix them up
Interchangeable.
or
Yeah.
refer to them as the same thing. But really, the spirit is the personality, the qualities, the attributes, the things that you pull into that for the soul's
Mm-hmm.
experience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, they work hand in hand. They're like a
Mm-hmm.
team, and they are co-creating with source energy. And the thing is they can overlap another soul, or like you were showing in the down here in the
Mm-hmm.
soul group or both soul family. You
Mm-hmm.
can have multiple souls overlapping their energy fields and pulling attributes and qualities and particles in from another whole group of experiencers because it has that incarnated memory.
Mm-hmm.
So if they don't have everything you need within this soul's experiences, it will pull from another soul that it's agreed with
Mm-hmm.
to bring those attributes in. So it's dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
It's dynamic and it's ongoing. It's like eternal.
Yeah.
Until spirit and soul decide they've experienced enough of these frames and they're going to move on to something else
Mm-hmm.
within the source. They return that shows spirit and soul
Yeah,
returning.
and the bigger picture here is, why do we go through this process? Why are we doing all this? Well,
Uh,
it's my understanding that we are doing it to discover who we really are, to see ourselves from every angle possible.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I was walking down the street the other day and somebody was walking towards me, and I got the thought that, oh, that is me. That's an aspect of me right there. And I pass
Mm-hmm.
that person, another person comes walking by, or I'm in the grocery store. That is an aspect of me. That is an aspect of me. That is an aspect of me. And I started to
Right.
see people differently. And I thought that was really interesting. Um, we do have a question here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Teresa. Um,
Sorry.
Dead End Collective. I don't think I've seen you here before, but welcome. It's good to have you with us. Awesome. Do you feel it is necessary to become unaware before you become aware? Yes, I think it is. I know it sounds oxymoronic in that one should follow the other, but that is not what I mean. More like a fall to rise. Absolutely. You have to figure out what you're not before you figure out what you are.
Yeah.
You agree, panel?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. That
Absolutely.
also explains, like the period of amnesia that you experience between lifetimes.
Yeah, because if you knew everything that was going on, you wouldn't be able to experience yourself the way
Yeah.
you're meant to experience yourself.
Hmm.
You've
Yep.
seen those Lifetime clips where they have those kids that come in and they're very aware of their past life and how much it affects them. Like this kid was um, drowned on the Titanic, and until they faced it, figured it out, and worked through it, he couldn't really go on with his life. But there was a reason for him to come in that way and experience that. Maybe that was something he wanted to experience. But that's the veil of forgetfulness. That's why it is so important to have the veil of forgetfulness so that you have a fresh start, so that you can focus. Your focus is on the lifetime that you're here to live, so that all your energies,
Yeah.
everything is going into it. Your guides are there, your higher self, they're all right there helping you have this experience so that you can bring all of this back to the whole of who you are. And
Right.
that's what expands your consciousness. And each lifetime that comes in, it just expands more and more and more. Um,
Yeah.
and
So
and
it
go ahead.
it's that focus that central focus mind as all these attributes and qualities and things are being pulled, they're getting more and more focused that's where we get that concept that we have of the agreements of
Mhm.
how we're going to do things and what we're going to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And we pull it, and it gets denser and denser and denser until it becomes a crystallized core that's prepped for implantation or incarnation
Mm-hmm.
into the mind, of the conscious mind, and then
Ooh,
Hmm.
I think she froze.
Yeah.
She McFreezed on us. Okay, well, that was interesting.
Hmm.
But anyway, so Nick, Jasmine,
reach this
oh,
energy.
there she is. She's
And
back. You froze, dear. You froze up, and we didn't
oh,
hear
at what
probably
point?
a good 30 seconds of what just
Hmm.
transpired. We didn't hear.
I was saying, the soul is condensing and condensing and condensing
Uh
all of
huh.
these attributes and qualities based on the agreements that were made
Yes. Yes.
as to what the experience would be
Uh
until
huh.
it becomes a crystallized seed.
Mm-hmm.
And that is density. That
Mm-hmm.
represents density because we have to go from the, you know, heavenly realms down into matter to have the experience. So it has to prepare. So Laurie and I were joking around calling them sea pods. We're sea pods, but that's basically now
Soul
the
pods.
carrier soul
Soul
pods,
pods.
and
Yeah.
the carrier for that is the Merkabah, which is the next piece that we were going to
Right.
take a look at the Merkabah, and
Let's really look at this Merkabah. Now,
yeah,
this geometric shape is really what houses all of this. And this is the little, like I call a soul pod, where all this
yeah,
energy is inputted, and then this drops into wherever it's going to go, wherever it's meant to be, or where it wants to go. But Teresa, you
that's
want
what.
to talk about that a little bit? What the
Yeah,
Merkabah is?
just a little bit for folks
Cool.
that are
Yes.
first hearing this and not familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who have, it's going to be repetitive, but for those who haven't,
Mm-hmm.
the word Merkabah itself, um, it's sacred geometry. It's a geometric symbol that symbolizes so much. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it symbolizes harmony and balance. It's about bringing opposites together to create harmony and balance, and it could be mind. No, it could be spirit versus your earthly being. It could be the cosmos versus earth. It could be divine feminine versus masculine. It's all these different polar opposites that it brings together into a central focused point in order to make this incarnation possible or ascension possible. Once you're done with your incarnations or you're done with your cycles and you want to ascend, it enables you to have the appropriate balance. But it also serves as a vehicle, and it's been known in traditions, religious lights. It came about during the Hebrew. It's actually a Hebrew term for vehicle, chariot, light, or spirit. Mer being the light, ka spirit, ba body. And so they would use this symbol, not the way we use it today, but they would use it to. They use it in a religious context. They considered it the throne of God in God's house. It would connect you from your earthly plane of existence to your heavenly plane. And this is how you would travel. Energetically. It was
Yeah.
designed
Soul's
to
vehicle.
the soul vehicle of the
Yeah.
soul in your contact with divinity. Now, some people take that literally as an actual spaceship type vessel. Others see it as a plasma energetic field, and that's the way Laurie and I experience it. More often is not a physical metal ship or a spaceship or a flying saucer. Although, if you're vibrating at a certain frequency, you can catch a glimpse of this, or you can bring that into your focused reality and see it, and it does resemble a ship, and we'll show you that in a minute. So down here, it's also known to. It consists of two triangles, tetrahedrons, and they are associated with divine. They are like pyramids, and they're inverted, but they're always spinning in opposite directions, and that creates that electromagnetic energy field. It creates a force field around spirit, And it also creates a force field for the soul to travel safely into the density. So as it gets closer and closer and closer and closer to 3D, to material reality, it's protected in this energetic force field, which turns out, and Brian can confirm this later, it turns out that that is connected almost with a spiritual tether to the auric field, the aura field around every living thing. Because everything in life also has the triangle. We've talked about this on the past couple of shows. And so you have the inverted triangle and the upright triangle showing the opposite or the polarization. And so the human aura field, for example, is tethered from the Merkabah vehicle to the aura field around a human being, which goes through these different planes of the aura itself, which is the, it goes through the spiritual plane, the astral plane, and the physical plane, and has a tether directly to your solar plexus. And so it's how we keep the energetic channel open through the toroidal field that Laurie explained in one of our previous videos, through our chakra system, and then into our aura, and that is our tether to the Merkabah, which is the vehicle and the transport. It's kind of crazy. It all correlates perfectly. When you take a look at them and put them all together, you can see the science behind, or how the universe works, how this blueprint is actually being implemented. At least that's what we're getting from that.
Yeah. And
Plus our own experiences.
right. And the interesting thing is you're not just one, you're infinite amount. You're experiencing this on so many different levels all at once in many different realms. It's really incredible. So we come here to be this individual because that's our focus. But in actuality, we have many focal points that are going on infinitely right now at the same time. And you don't understand that until you drop the body.
That's right.
Fascinating stuff. It really is. You know, go ahead.
It's our shared dreamed experiences, and it's also our past life memories. If you take a look at our shows we did on past lives, Laurie and I have had numerous past lives together. We have documented and researched some of them. We can't do it to all of them because some of them go so far back, there just aren't any records. But we have uncovered the records that supports the story, the names, the locations, and some of these time periods will overlap. So it's like, how can you be in one place when you're in the other place? How can you be experiencing death over here and birth over here? Because that's the way the multiple frame focus works.
Right. You just don't
We've
recognize
already shown it.
You don't always recognize that energy until you recognize that energy, and then you're blown away by it. You can't even hardly believe it.
And then I've had a couple where I've actually visited myself on Earth in this reality in a different location, like England, like a version of myself that's much more healthy, or a version of myself that's younger, having an experience. And I know it's me because I could see myself. So I'm creating that thought because we have that ability. We have that ability to tap into that energy field and say, I want to experience myself in this reality at a younger age. But you're not consciously necessarily doing that. At the time, it was all subconscious. I didn't know where it was coming from or what I was seeing. But they're visions. Whereas a dream might be a lucid dream where we can change the variables, and that's how we can create environments to play in, explore in, have fun in, like we do, or to learn something about an environment that we've never been to before. But we can control, we can co-create and bring in the attributes that we want. The other thing about the Merkabah, are you all familiar with the term? It's not just the aura field now. This is another part. It's the structure of the overlapping circles. It's called the viscous Pisces. Is that it? What's the Latin term for that?
Vesica Pisces.
Thank you, Vesica Pisces.
Where the two come together. Yep.
Yeah. So it's a shape of it's basically the two circles coming together, and they overlap and create a third space in the middle, right?
Like the
That
picture
space,
above you.
yes, it's
Mm.
similar to a twin soul
Mhm.
connection, very
Mhm.
similar to twin soul.
Mhm.
But it's divine feminine representing the womb and during the birth process. In sacred geometry, the Vesica Piscis is considered a symbol of the intersection between spiritual and physical worlds, as well as the unity of opposites. So, let me give you an example of how this would work for creation, for co creating. You have a channeler, like, say, Hope Upchurch. She's been on here many times. Or Nancy Matz, or any number of people that you watch on the programs, Daryl Anka, and many others.
Mhm. Mhm.
And they're the vehicle or the channeler who's going to bring that energy in. That's the human aspect of us that's so tethered and connected and vibrating at such a high frequency that they have an open channel or an open link through the Merkabah system to bring the qualities in of a master, an extraterrestrial contact perhaps, an interdimensional, an ancestor, an archangel, whatever it is that you want to experience or interview or talk to, that channeler will pull that energy, those attributes and qualities into this center. Then you, as the experiencer, the observer, the interviewer, will sit down with the channeler like Laurie does when she interviews Hope. That's why we have all the questions come through Laurie so that she can be directing that, because what she's doing is connecting and creating an energy connection between herself and Hope. So when Laurie is interviewing Hope, or when Daryl Anka's audience wants to experience Bashar, somebody comes down to the front, stands in front of him, and they make an energy connection. And the two of them are creating that space to have that experience and to get that message, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And we talked a couple days ago about how our aura serves as a beacon. It's how the soul knows how we are healing or not, what we need to get stronger, what we need to increase our awareness, what we need to stay on our journey. Whatever our needs are met by the aura, because the soul's constantly reading that energy field around us and can help bring in
Mhm.
and guide us to whatever spiritual guide we need, an archangel or a master, whatever we need to hear,
Mhm.
whatever the message is that we need to hear, is created in that space where the two circles overlap. That's the energy field that's created. So the person who's doing the channeling is just doing that. They're functioning as a bridge to help create that space. And so is the person that's got the problem.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
you go
Mhm.
into a meditation, you're creating that space on your own.
Yeah.
You can create that connection on your own. But a lot of people don't or can't without the help of a medium or the help of a channeler. And so that's where that comes in. Or they need to heal a part of their body. They need that scalar energy. They need that healing energy. So there's a Brian. There are people trained, like at all my relations, to be Reiki masters and healers. And they have that gift, that ability to activate that energy field between themselves and the person that they're healing by bringing in those energies. And some of them are consciously aware of it. Usually, the masters, the Reiki masters, are aware of what they're doing with Reiki.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
But I can't necessarily always heal my own knee. I have tried, and I've had
Yeah.
great success on one, and I've had
Mhm.
not such great success. I need help. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'll go to Grandpa Brian or I'll go to Lori, and we create that energy field, and we join and create that result and bring in those energies. So that's another way that the Merkabah operates.
Mhm.
So it's monitoring our progress, it's giving us the resources we need, it's helping us to open those energy fields. And we, as the created beings, creating this personality, if you will, our spirit is functioning within the qualities and attributes that we need to get the help and the resources we need from earth angels and
Right.
light workers and other people. So
And
that's
again,
how
we're
all three are
yeah,
tied together.
right.
Yeah.
We're just sharing what we've learned. Take it for whatever
Right.
it's worth.
Yeah.
We're not saying you should believe in any of this. We're just sharing it,
No.
okay? And
It's what's come to us. Yeah.
it's not a choice for me, it's a reality. It's something I live every single day, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
passionate about this. And I can tell you, since 2018, and all those years of living it, breathing it, and just absorbing it, every hundreds and hundreds of hours of listening to people, other opinions and viewpoints,
Yeah.
that's what you should do if you're out there doing this. So make up your own mind, figure it out on your own. Don't let anybody tell you anything different, because it really comes to what your understanding of it is, and that's really all
Yeah.
that matters. All we can
Do
do is
we
share what we know, right?
do we have that little video clip of the Merkabah?
Um, yeah, so we had a show a long time ago about UAPs, and we showed this on there, and this is actually some video that you took, Theresa, that you
Mm-hmm.
caught. And
Yeah.
also Mary Winds and Truth Seeker has had these experiences as well, and so they'll recognize this from that show. But I'm going to go ahead and show you this, and you can talk about it really quick. And then I'd really like to get to our guests. I'd like to get
Yep.
to know what their thoughts and opinions are about all this. So here we go with
Yep.
this video. So check out this Merkabah that Theresa captured a few years ago.
Okay, I thought it was a star that was swooping down from outer space. It was getting closer and closer. I had a tripod and my camera was on a tripod. And the lens was reacting to this light source that was coming down. If you take a close look at the center of it, you can see the geometric patterns and shapes.
Boom,
You
there it
can
is
see the
right there.
spinning.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can see the spinning.
Mhm.
That's the two opposite spin directions, which keeps it in forward motion. So it's coming down closer and closer, and it's blue.
Hmm.
Um,
So you witnessed this, and also, and I'll play this again so you can see. You witnessed this, and so did a
neighbor,
neighbor of yours. So you weren't the only one witnessing this. You actually had two other eyes on this,
a
asking you
neighbor
what it
with his
was.
two kids. Yeah, his kids, and they were afraid of it. They
Yeah.
didn't know what to make of it. They were afraid of
Uh-huh.
it because it came so close to me, and it just at one point froze and stopped moving, and there it goes, and it's observing me like I'm observing it.
Hmm.
And we had a big discussion on the program about this is supposed to be a symbolic representation, not an actual physical thing. But people experience orbs all the time. And
Hmm.
this is more than just an orb because it not only had its own light source, it had the pulsating that was going on in the geometry inside of it. You could see the geometry inside of it. You can't typically see
Mhm.
that with an orb. And so at the time, Laurie said, "Oh well, it's a Merkabah or crystal." She said, "Oh, it's a Merkabah. It looks like a Merkabah." And so we started talking about it, and my neighbor had passed away during COVID, but from natural causes, and 2 weeks before this. And Laurie said, "What if it's a transport to pick up souls,
I
or what
suspected
if it
that.
or spirits
Hmm.
to pick up spirits?" And I'm like, but now we're saying that's soul itself. That's representation of someone's soul coming in and getting ready to drop off that pod, that
Hmm.
seed, that incarnation. It turns out the lady down the street, about 3 doors down, got pregnant. She gave birth. So that, and so it could have been picking up Vicky's spirit and dropping off an incarnation for someone else.
Yeah, but I think
I mean,
that it's
it's,
exclusive to just the one. I don't think it holds more than one. I think it holds. the blueprint for that one singular.
For that one.
Yeah,
So
but
you think they were picking up Vicky.
I could be
Yeah.
wrong about that, but that's my gut feeling about it. Yeah.
That is
Well,
some incredible footage, and frankly, that almost looks like a living cell.
Yeah, I'll
looks
show
like
it again because it really is
like it's got
fantastic.
the nucleus inside it moving around,
Mhm.
and
Well,
the
this is
cytoplasm
why-
around it.
But it could have split. Here's what I'm saying. Souls can divide.
Mhm.
So it could have been taking Vicky's attributes, and for all we know,
Mhm.
that people that live down the street were in
Mhm.
the same soul family, and maybe they were taking Vicky's attributes, qualities, memories, and
It's
pulling it back
possible.
into the soul,
Anything
dividing
is
out and dropping off another. Who knows?
Yep.
Because it's unlimited.
Yep.
They
But
do
that is
divide.
definitely the vehicle for the soul.
Look at that. Look at the
Yeah.
center of it.
Yeah. That's really something.
I have seen a few of
Yeah.
those, and I think
Yep.
another one, Rocky Stitchy's friend Don Newen
Mhm.
had it on his
Yeah.
ranch.
Yeah.
Truth Seeker, who lives near me.
Mhm.
Truth
Yep.
Seeker had
Yep.
a
She's
video.
recorded it.
Mary
and,
Wynn.
Mary Wynn's. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're at
Fascinating
a
stuff.
certain frequency, you might pick it up.
Mhm. Definitely.
I think it knows it. Another soul recognizes your soul frequency and knows you're tapped in and goes, "Hi."
Yeah.
And you see it out of the corner of your eye, but you're not sure what you're seeing.
Mhm.
So I don't agree with those who say it's just a symbolic representation.
Mhm.
Maybe I manifested it through thought, but I wasn't out there having a walk saying I want to go find a Merkabah.
Mhm.
I wasn't out there saying I want to experience an alien. I was just stargazing and taking pictures of the moon, testing out my new phone,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
Yep.
caught it.
Yeah.
There
So
are no aliens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Nick,
Right.
Jasmine, I'd really like to get your thoughts on this. I'd like to get to you guys because this is where we learn what other people are thinking and where they're at. What do you guys think about this? What's your opinions on this, and what are your thoughts and ideas about this?
Okay, so I agree with most of it. I don't agree with the whole separating the soul and the spirit thing. I think that complicates it and puts in more steps.
What do you
think-
mean separation?
So some beliefs think there's 4 parts, and that's where that separation comes from. It's just other teachings, they call it the emotional side. Some teachings also add the social side to things. They call it different words. I just like keeping it as the Trinity because those little splits that they do, I just see them as part of the same piece of pie.
Yes.
I see the soul as the battery. The
Mhm.
body is the machine. The soul is the battery. The mind is where it all starts.
Mhm.
So my definition of your guys' definition of soul would be mind.
Mhm.
That's where the different translations
Yeah.
come.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How about you, Jasmine? What's your thoughts on that?
I do, because I was thinking about the first question that was asked in the beginning, like, are you a soul or do you have a soul?
Mhm.
I think it comes from the understanding on which part of your 3, like mind, body, and like spiritual,
Mhm. Mhm.
which one is more in control. Because if it's your physical side, then you'll say, yeah, I have a soul, because you're speaking from your body's perspective.
Mhm.
If I am a soul, you'll be speaking from like your crown chakra, or like you'll be speaking from
Mhm.
the spiritual perspective.
Are you all of it?
Yes, we are all of it. I believe that.
Mhm.
I do believe that kind of what you guys are talking about is like the multiverse in a way, but
Yes.
a way of like accessing the multiverse within ourselves. So
Yes.
yeah. From what I was picking up on the conversation, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I kind of get it. There's a really cool movie out there. It's about a Babel, everything on a Babel. It's on Netflix, and it kind of goes into that of how she taps into different versions of herself or alternate adjacent universes by opening up her pineal gland. But the reason why it opens is because she does something completely off the wall, like eat her chapstick or like because something like that completely like it's like a, oh my god, you know what I mean? Like it opens your mind. So
Mm.
I do agree to what you're saying, and I also agree that dreams kind of help us see
Yes.
those worlds. Just from experience, because that's happened to me, of where I will not. It's just weird. My whole dream world is weird, but that's what I have to say. The other thing I have to say about soul is that in Spanish, soul also means sun, and
Mm-hmm.
from what you guys picture about what the soul is supposed to look like, to me, it's like imagining everyone walking around with like a little sun inside them.
Yeah, agreed.
I also believe that is the energy center. So that's what gives us energy. That's what gives
Mm-hmm.
us like life and vitality.
Sure. That's
Right.
what gives the plants. That's what gives our bodies. That's what gives us everything is that central sun. And yeah, I believe that is the seat of the soul in a
Mhm.
sense. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So my understanding of this is very basic. So I'm just
Yeah.
putting together of what you guys are saying, and I'm like, yeah, okay, this fits into. Because when I hear new information, I have
Mm-hmm.
where Sherlock Holmes had like a mind library. I have like a
Mm-hmm.
web, like a spider web, and every time I get a piece of information,
Mm-hmm. You just
I
grab a piece.
I grab a piece and I see if it fits in the web, and if
Mm-hmm.
I get 2 or 3 strands that hold on to it, I'm like, okay. And if there's one strand that doesn't, I'm just like, I need more information. I'll put this away for later.
Yeah.
So far, those are the things that have like actually fit into my web. So
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. How about you,
Right.
Dalibor? What are your thoughts, opinions, and beliefs and ideas about that?
Well, I have a rather simplified view of this thing, uh, because for me, soul and spirit are inseparable,
Mm-hmm.
because they're just aspects of one thing, and that's your consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
In my language, the word for God is buch,
Mm-hmm.
the word for spirit is duch, and the word for soul is dushe. And uh, Duch and Duche, those are actually male and female versions of the same root word. So
Mm-hmm.
it's actually like the soul would be the female aspect of your consciousness, and the spirit would be the male aspect of your consciousness. They're inseparable. And they travel with you basically everywhere you go. That's your consciousness. They do separate from your body from time to time, like in the course of dreams or states of consciousness in different incarnations, and they can split between different bodies. And I've kind of proven this for myself by having met people that are like literal copies of each other on different continents, having lived on multiple
Yeah.
continents.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's
Are they?
creepy.
Are
It's
they?
very
Is that what you call doppelganger?
doppelganger with the same personality, almost the same name,
Uh huh.
same
Yeah.
mannerisms, everything. And I'm like, that's got to be the same person. They just don't know about it in this game. And what is this
Uh huh.
realm that we're in? This realm is what I call the Consensus Reality Application Protocol. And it's basically a multiple role playing game.
Mm-hmm.
And this is your avatar. Your body is your avatar, and it's controlled by your spirit soul, Duch Luche,
Mm-hmm.
and animated by it. And just like what you touched on with the auric field, well, that's the equivalent of the electromagnetic field, because the soul spirit operates on principles very similar to those of physics and chemistry and mathematics. Operates on very similar principles, but not the same principles. Just like every chemical reaction generates a magnetic field at a certain frequency, so too does anything that the spirit soul does generate its own electromagnetic field known as the aura.
Mm-hmm.
And that's detectable by up to infinity, basically. But it's detectable with man-made instruments up to 6 feet away. Nick Begich has manufactured his own devices that measure auras from up to 6 feet away, and you can like pinpoint certain chakras and everything. He's quite scientific about it. So it's basically like a parallel to the physical world, but on the astral level. So that's what the aura is. It's an electromagnetic field, and it's even shaped like one.
Yeah.
Wow.
because it's got that torus shape.
Unfortunately, Brian and Black Raven lost internet,
Hmm.
so we won't get to hear what their thoughts and opinions are about that. And I was really looking forward to that.
Oh, they lost his internet
Yeah,
connection?
he
Oh,
lost
bummer.
internet, so he just
Hmm.
cannot get back on there.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
at the cabin. So maybe
So
he will later.
yeah. So Dalibor, do you believe that the soul can split? That's
Yeah,
quite the smoke ring you just puffed out there. That was cool.
that means something. Everything
Yes.
means something.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I think it can split. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you don't lose consciousness. You gain consciousness because that's the whole point of like
Mm.
being in this
Mm-hmm.
consensual reality application protocol. It's
Mm-hmm.
to gain experiences, to gain understanding, knowledge,
Yeah.
wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
and in doing so, you're expanding your consciousness all the
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm. Nick, how about you? Do you believe that you've got many pieces and parts of you out there
Um,
experiencing different realms and even here as well? Do you believe that you could be in more than one body on the earth at the same time? I think is what I'm asking.
so with the metaphysical teachings that I've learned, that time's not really real and everything's happening at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
that would give you the possibility that yeah, you could be in multiple places all at once, and if you know how to tinker with it, you could probably manipulate that to a point of stuff. I would assume with stuff like time travel or
Mm-hmm.
even astral projection and so forth, all that quacky stuff that a lot of people aren't too sure exists yet, even though there's been
Mm-hmm.
signs.
It does bend your mind like a pretzel, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
And being
yeah,
open to these concepts they're tough. It's tough.
yeah. It is tough, especially
Mm.
when it's bombarded on you in media that it's sci-fi,
Mhm. Mhm.
and then you just go down into a rabbit hole and find some CIA declassified files, and the next thing you know, you're reading about Stargate, and now you're confused.
Mhm.
Until
Right.
you're not anymore until you actually get curious enough to start experimenting,
Yeah.
and then you start getting your personal results that uh, you won't really get any tangible physical evidence to prove to anyone because that's not what it's here to do.
Mhm.
But it's only there for people who are ready, and,
Yeah.
and the only time people will see the proof are when they're tuned in,
Yeah.
and anyone else
When
who
they
is
really want to
tuned in
know about
can
it.
see the
Yep.
proof. But
Agreed.
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the CIA was doing research and
Mhm.
utilizing remote viewing, and there are some aspects of remote viewing that are actually astral travel.
yeah,
You know, the
yeah.
two are not, in other words, the two are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, one of
Mhm.
the more popular ones that they tried during the whole project was they were trying to figure out where Russia was stashing some of their weapons, and one of the remote viewers discovered an illegal, by war standards, nuclear submarine that they had, and he could pinpoint the exact location, and they found it, and they had to shut it down because they found it.
Hmm.
So I think
Yeah.
that someone can just go, boop, it's right there.
Nick, Nick,
Hmm.
we have a comment, and I'd really like you to address this. I know
Which
how
one?
I would address it, but I'm curious as to how you would. The idea of everyone having a doppelganger is hard to pin down. Would mean we have 4 billion sets of twins. We're not really talking
Not it.
about a doppelganger. We're talking about split souls.
Yeah. So with the concept of things like astral projection, it scientists have kind of admitted to this point that we are living in the Matrix, but it's not the Matrix like in the movies where it's like a digital world and a bunch of robots are just like keeping us as like an energy source. It's not like that. This place is as real as it gets, just like any other place. It's not fake. That's
Mhm.
what I think people mess up on. Like this is as real as it gets. It's just there's other parts of your higher self that are having to experience different lessons,
Mhm.
and to do that, you have to have a different space. Like how Daryl
Yep.
was saying, it's like a RPG game world. Well, there's what if I told you there's more than one server? This is
Yes.
Hmm.
the only
Or
server.
like a television with different TV
Yeah,
different stations. Just
countless
depends.
servers.
Yep.
And me and Jasmine have tapped into ours a couple times. Like she recently had a dream about us like sitting in the back, like watching TV, seeing a different life of ours going on. And then
Trust me, that's not insane to even think about that, because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that stuff happens. Once you get tuned into that, you start seeing your other selves, and that's when you actually start. What they call it when you start gathering your pieces together, you start unshattering yourself, because we're all shattered. It's one of the ways that they keep us divided and down on the lower dimensions, is they split us into so many different pieces that we
Who
don't have.
splits you?
Huh?
Who split you? Who split you?
Well, this is a controversial topic, so I'll just talk about it a little bit. Otherwise,
I'm curious. Go ahead.
So, in the lore, I'm not going to claim that this is real. I'm just saying this is what I know. In the lore, there's two galactic superpower military entities. One's called the Federation, the other one's called the NAA. Basically, it's as nerdy as you can get when you think about it. Like when you boil down to it, and like you don't take it as serious. It's literally light versus dark. It's as simple as that. It's like you have certain races that have a more inorganic, robotic approach to life.
So you believe there are factions that are in control of what you're experiencing, what you're not experiencing? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's
They have technology that messes with stuff like that, and for whatever reason, they like this little pocket, and they're trying their best to keep it, while the other side is trying to get it back to normal, the way it's supposed to be.
So wouldn't that be putting everything into someone else's hands and you not taking responsibility for your experience?
Well, the way I see it is that they say we're trapped here, but we're not really. The only reason why people get trapped here is because they start thinking they're trapped. The way I see it is just trials and lessons. This whole place is cool. It's supposed to be treated as one. It's not supposed to be easy.
Gotcha. Yeah. Interesting. So I'd really like to get to Grandpa Brian and Black Raven. Guys, I'm sorry you're having so much internet trouble. What are your thoughts and opinions on this? And I'd like to start with Black Raven, if I could, there, Grandpa Brian. What's your thoughts and opinions on this material that we just spoke about and what everyone else is talking about?
So I didn't hear everything, but there are a few points that for me, I'd like to touch on. I believe, in my understanding, the soul is always whole and complete. We can't forget, though, right? And the personality itself can fragment, and that's just kind of that bringing back, kind of like the dark crystal, if you've ever seen that, right? The bringing back of the shards, right?
Yeah, right.
But the shard, it's always complete as it is, right? Like the crystal itself is always complete. It's just about kind of like that quantum mind theory, right? As all the blocks come out, like it takes more to bring it back in, right? So, that was one thing I wanted to touch on. Also, there was something in the chat. I can't see it anymore, but there was about becoming unaware. So for me, what it reminded me of was a teaching of Ram Dass, and he talks about how he's just as neurotic as the day that he started, but he was granted a second of grace for every year that he dedicated himself to that self-discovery and that calming, right? And as like for me, I have to keep it simple. I'm like Ram Dass. I'm neurotic. I will admit that about myself.
I've listened to hundreds of hours of Ram Dass.
Yeah. And so when it comes to awareness, I keep it really simple, right? When we can pretty well read through any literature, and it all foundationally is about love, right? God is about love. And when we talk about metaphysically, what's the biggest generator in the body? The heart, right?
The heart.
So as we drop into the body, and we just start becoming familiar with the heart, and we take the heart to the mind, and we say, where's my heart at? Where's my head at? And how can I use my hands to bring that forth into manifestation? That's awareness for me in every moment, right? So like, instead of examining these huge portions of lives and galaxies, like for me, it's like if I'm in a moment and I'm engaged, I'm just going to use my hamster wheel as a trigger, right, to tap into the body and see what's going on in there, and just kind of bring that to mind, and then use, walk forward. So I try to keep it simple like that. And, I'm with them. It's not, for me, it's never been about losing awareness. We have to have awareness, right? But it is about unlearning all the things that we think we know, right? That intellectual part of ourselves. It even talks about it in the Bible, right? That if we let the intellectual part be too dominant, or the intuitive part be too dominant, we cannot bring the Trinity together, right? So, I feel it's really about just kind of bringing all those aspects into each other. And, everybody senses that and feels those things differently. Yeah, and I don't know if ego came up at all in here, but, I know
ego always come up.
Just I know, I figured so.
Beloved,
and,
never without it.
It's all about the ego.
So one of my things that for me, I just, we had to stay alive. It's a primal instinct, right? To look outside the cave before you stick your head out. That's ego, self-preservation, right?
Yeah.
And also we can tell through the consistency of people's behavior if they're in service to self or service to others, right? And we discern for ourselves what that looks like to us, and we walk, right? So nice and simple, nice and simple, nice and simple. And that's just like how I like to keep it.
I love that. I love that very much. Yes. Interesting. How about you, Grandpa Brian? Thank you, Black Raven.
I agree with most of what was said tonight. But I do believe that, okay, we are soul while we are here in this physical body. And when we leave here, we actually go back to being a part of the spirit. And the spirit is the aspects of all of our souls put together. So it comes to that. I believe that our spirits are actually fractals of another spirits. So why would not our spirit fractal off into all these other souls to experience all these different experiences at the same time? And then when we go back to that whole, which I do believe that's our spirit, our souls here while we're on earth learning, and we all go back to the spirit, and then we basically, what did you learn? What did you learn? And the thing is, you may have same situations while your soul, different aspects of your soul here, same situations, but you went about it differently in each one. And then when you come back to that whole, then it's like, okay, I did it this way, you did it that way. So maybe next time this situation comes up, I'll do it this way, or maybe we need to do it another way because we tried both aspects of that situation and had different results, but it wasn't the result that we wanted. So, all right, let's try it again. And maybe there might have been a third soul that actually had the same experience that the three of you did, or the two of you did. And you're like, wow, okay, that's the way we need to do it the next time that we come down here. But then again, we go through that veil of forgetfulness. So what we learned, we forget when we come back.
Right.
Well,
but you still kind of retain some of the attributes. Go ahead, Theresa.
That's okay. It's one of the reasons, and I'm right there with you, Brian, because that's why I drew the picture of the spirit going in and out, and the soul, the reunion between the two. Because people have moved further and further away from using the term spirit as representative of the one body. We're all branches and limbs. I was taught that, and I believe that. We're all interrelated, and we all have we're part of that tree of life. And people started replacing the word spirit with soul, and only referring to spirit when we're talking about people who have passed away, or have been murdered, or can't cross over. They've had some traumatic experience, and they're stuck here on the planet, and they're in ghostly form, and they're spirits. So the word spirits has been used in that way in more recent times, whereas they've replaced everything now with linguistics, that with soul. But I was always taught that there are three. There's the mind, physical body, mind, spirit, and soul. And so I don't necessarily see them as separate, but I see them as a cohesive unit. And another way to look at this, and one of the reasons of sharing this today was because there are so many people who have come to me on a personal level and said, I am freaking trapped here. I've been listening to all these other programs and all these other channels, and I'm a prisoner. I'm stuck on Earth, and I'm never getting out of here. And it's all about how you think of things and how you view yourself and your experiences and how you react to those experiences, and whether or not you've accomplished what you came here to accomplish. And so by showing this, it's really showing you that may not be a truth. It keeps you open to the idea that that God is using a process, a blueprint to help you in your incarnation here, to help you live your life in a fulfilling way. And that focused seed that comes into the solar plexus and goes up and down is connecting with the heart, just like Black Raven just said. And so we're not trapped here necessarily. It's not I've never bought into that. I've never bought into the fact that I was trapped in a net.
I think
like
you have way more control over your experience.
And nets thrown around me and thrown into the earth to experience, against my will, or that I'm being controlled by a group of outside controllers, alien races, or other multidimensional beings that are determining how I live my life and trapping me here on 3D reality. I don't buy into any of it because I see the beauty of what God source consciousness is. Pure consciousness and love and light. Wanted to experience itself because it's still creating. It wanted to create. And so it did that by creating fractals of itself.
So are you responsible for your experience, Theresa?
I am totally responsible for my experience because I've been given the free will choice and the gift of being a fractal of source itself to come into any three-dimensional reality that I want to experience in many different ways that I want to experience it. And they may not all be pleasant, but it's by seeing the things that aren't pleasant that makes me want and appreciate the things that are so much more. So I want to keep creating that which is better, different, unique, love-based, heart-centered. And I go through all the traumas to understand what it is I don't want to experience or don't need to experience.
Right.
And so this model, all it is it's just showing the possibilities of how our creation works, Yeah.
Go ahead, Jasmine.
Jess.
I like that, Loretta.
Okay. So I agree that it's all a choice. I am a big believer in free will, and you should exercise your free will and don't ever give up that right. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's a lot of I don't feel like we don't have a choice. Everyone has a choice. That's why I always have like that argument between are you a product of your environment, or is there actual character that gets placed in environments, and are you true to your character? So that whole argument comes from I do believe that people are at a disadvantage because a lot of people are too scared or don't realize that they have a choice for some reason. And I think that's the big question that I like diving into is, when does your soul or your spirit realize that you have the choice? Because I do realize that we have a choice, but for so many people, they don't think that. For some reason, I started realizing this when I started studying psychology. The school systems that we have, especially out in the West, we didn't have we didn't have shop, we didn't have art, we didn't have any of that self-discovery, the things that feed your soul, the things that help you meditate, that stuff.
Creative outlets, you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that it's so crucial to have that. And then so I felt like the school system out there, we used to joke, oh, it's a prison because we had 7-foot fences all around our schools. Out here, you guys have open school programs and your schools don't have fences. But my main point in bringing that up is I started to see the manipulation. A lot of these kids and a lot of these people are being manipulated by schools, by media, by the food. It's just a bunch of manipulation, and then they get targeted with like, oh, you should have this life. Oh, you should have this car. Oh, you should have this job. Oh, you should buy. It's like a rat race, and most people.
We want to put you in this box. We want to keep you in this box, and we want to control you. And the minute you think outside the box, you're the bad seed.
Exactly. And that's why a lot of us here get labeled as crazy. Because we're like, hey, I see your propaganda, and I'm not going to participate. Thanks very much. I'm going to go off grid.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the part of where, like, the whole alien conspiracy, which, by the way, if Nick was telling you, it's from this book that he's been reading.
I've known that way before I saw that book.
Anyway, so I do participate in the notion that we all have free will. I do believe that at the end of the day, it's your choice. But then it's like, I know they say that there's that Hermetic principle of like, to know the bad, you have to know the good and stuff like that. And my psychology professor, he had us think of this question. If the Little Mermaid never saw the boat with Prince Eric on it, do you think she would want to become human? It's like, what are those triggers? You know what I mean? That help.
Maybe she just wants to be the cute little crab.
But it's like the things that make you think that there's more to life. But to me, I am obsessed with finding those pivot points of, well, what made you start thinking like that? I know for Brian, it was like one day he woke up in the mirror and he's like, I'm done. I'm tired of this. I'm like, I know there's something better for me, and I'm gonna find it. You know? I enjoy that. Like, if I think if my soul is trying to find something by trying to find like different like avenues of life and trying to bring it all in one, I feel like that's what brings a person to that level of self-awareness, to that level of that yellow chakra of being confident and assertive and finding a way to make your life yours. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. And who doesn't ask that question? Why are we here? What is this all about? I mean, I remember in my 20s going, what is life all about? What's the purpose of all of this? And just kind of being like, I don't even know. And that's where it starts, right?
Yeah.
Well, to me, awareness is about letting go of victimhood and being aware that because you are divine and because you are a reflection of divine, of divinity itself, of creator itself, then you have had certain things happen. And so I can either choose to be mad at creator and say, you're false, ugly, mean, nasty, controlling, and you put me through this.
Which you're just saying that to yourself.
But you're just really saying it to yourself because you are a reflection of that. So
well, see, it's more important to see the big picture, but that's preceded by the fact that you know that there is a big picture.
Exactly, and that's what awareness is that there is a bigger picture, and that is of the oneness.
Yep.
And that we have the ability to move around within that. Yes, Dalbert,
not necessarily.
For me,
it's not about oneness. No, it's the reason why you're here. Right, you put yourself here. You put yourself through this experience
because I am part of the one.
But that's got nothing to do with
it. The one wanted to know itself. The one wanted to experience different aspects of itself. It created us as fractals, as spirits, to experience different things.
You created yourself.
Nobody. Yes, as part of the one, my higher self was in on that. But what I'm saying is that's who we are. We're co-creators with one. We are part of one, of all. So everything that happens to us, we made that happen, not something else outside of us. Now, there's other influences that try to make us think that. And that's the lie. That's the illusion. That's the deceit. Is that there are energetic beings who want us, other energies, other part of all, that want us to think a certain way so that they can have control or power or influence. But they can't, because because they're part of us. They only want you to think they can. To the extent that you buy into that and react to it and make it your reality every day, is how you'll tank yourself. That's how you'll tank yourself and destroy. That's why you're in that rinse repeat cycle over and over and over, because because we fail to see, and that's what was happening to me. I could tell from my past life experiences of what I remember and what of how these patterns have repeated themselves even in this lifetime, and I was able to break them.
Yeah,
I was
because
able to break free of it.
Part of the big picture is that you can change your life
Right.
in a split second. You can change
Right.
your life in five seconds. You can also end your life in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point.
But that's why this this is how I'm seeing creation laying out such a beautiful design. I'm not saying we have to live in it and think about it every day, or that we have to, oh, this is my attribute today, or these are my. I'm not. It's understanding. It's to free you into thinking of not being trapped or confined. Do you see how beautiful this and expansive this is? It puts the control back into your seat so that you can see things for what they really are, and just be able to expand yourself and expand your consciousness and have those experiences and do all the things that we discuss every Friday night for self-development and self-care and self-healing. But this is the underlying infrastructure that goes with, for me, this has become the truth of me being able to greatly appreciate and understand creation.
And for you, your truth is all that matters. Yeah,
that's
for
right.
you, your truth is all that matters. Same for Dalibor. Your truth is all that matters for you. Yes.
Right. So it's, to me, it's a very freeing concept because I understand how things move and how the energy is working. I didn't understand that before, and it makes it easier for me to step outside of the trauma and see things as an observer, saying, hey, there's a model and a plan for all of this, and it's really cool, and I'm the creator of that. You know, and I'm loved because how can I not love myself? How can I not love you or Nick or Jazz or any of you? You're all part of me. We just have different combinations of our experiences in a different scenario or situation.
Yeah. I'm curious, Dalibor, what is it that you disagree with?
Nothing.
Okay.
Just the term one, you know.
Okay.
I just don't like that word.
All encompassing?
No, I don't like that word because it's never one thing. Nothing is ever one thing because there are no absolutes ever. That's the only absolute statement that you could actually make. There are no absolutes, and because there are no absolutes, there is no one. Yeah. It's always like multiple aspects, multiple factors, multiple everything. You know, there.
Yeah.
How about a whole?
The whole. Well,
the whole is many parts.
The whole has many parts. Yes, yeah, I get your point. I understand, but.
And I understand where you're coming from too. I get it.
Hey, Scotty boy, is it necessary that one must prove their truth? Is it necessary?
No. Absolutely not.
I don't think so.
Nope.
I think my truth changes. I mean, what I'm talking about right now, I didn't talk about this 6 months ago or a year ago.
No, you don't.
I'm always
changing. No. Just because you discovered that like your existing beliefs up until now have been false doesn't mean that you have to prove that your current belief system is true. No, it's just like let's say I lived my whole life believing that my parents were my parents, and one day I'm going through that drawer and I find out that I'm adopted. Right. Okay, and everybody's going to be like, well, we don't believe you, not until you tell us who your real parents are. Like, well, I don't know who my real parents are. But that doesn't mean I'm not adopted, right? Get my point?
I think expressing your truth is more important than trying to prove it, because when you express it, you're showing it. And as you continue to express it and nurture it and grow it into reality, then that's when the proof starts showing. That's
now see, here's someone Dead End Collective. I think it's true that we haunt ourselves, but not that we create ourselves. I find that fascinating that you're understanding. That's really interesting to me.
I think we choose who we are. and we choose what we believe, either subconsciously or not consciously. If you say, I don't believe that, you already chose to believe that statement.
Almost discounting it in a way. Is that what you mean, Jasmine?
So to say I have trust in something, or if I have distrust in something, means that I trust what I'm saying. You know?
Yeah.
But going back to what Delabor was saying, there's something called eclectic, which I recently learned. So you get to pick and choose what you resonate with. If it feels home to you, or if it feels right to you, without causing harm to anyone else or yourself,
right,
then that's okay.
Yeah.
Like with everything that even Theresa was saying, a big scripture that backs that up, because I have a biblical upbringing. There's scripture that says that God will not tempt you more than you can bear, and God will not put you in situations that you can bear. So it actually makes you think of how strong am I really am, especially for all of like people who have had that are victims. I'm going to say the word victims because it's like if you were part of like, you know, the I don't know if I can say this on YouTube, but like the rape situations or like, you know, murder situations or stuff like that. And those are really hard and grotesque things to go through. But that just, to me, the way I spin it to have hope still is just see how amazingly strong you are. Because I'm pretty sure if you took an average Joe and put them in that situation, they would not be alive today. So I pick and choose that in the Bible. It's not that I discount the Bible. I'm not like a Bible thumper or going to go and prove or disprove it. I'm just taking pieces that resonate with me, that help me.
Really, it's just another
a better
perspective,
person.
and we respect all perspectives because that's the versatility, all the different aspects. What do you think about that, Black Raven? Sorry, Dalibor, I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
What are your
part
thoughts
exactly?
Well, just what's your mind going to? What are you thinking? I can see your wheels spinning, and I'm just curious as to what you're thinking about.
Well, what hit me was the haunting and creating. I can't pronounce his.
Bummer, dude. Bummer.
They're just having a lot of interference.
So Ignis Draco kind of hit on it already. You know, I kind of like I see it the same way he does. You know, it's the haunting and creating. You know, if we feel something's haunting us, it's probably destructive in our lives, right? And haunting and creating are on the same spectrum. And so then we start talking about polarities, right? And am I over here or over there? Is this a duality or is it a spectrum from which I live on and I can be in a balance throughout that, right?
Where do you choose you choose to put your energy, where you want to be? By the way, Nick is Ignis Draco. He's on the panel here.
Yeah.
The wisdom up.
Great comment. I'm with you. I totally support
it. Too funny. Dalibor, you were going to make a comment about that. Thank you, Black Raven.
Yeah, I was just saying that you know, the end. I forgot what I was going to say. Forget it.
Aww.
It's gone.
Okay.
Aww. It'll come back. It'll come back around.
Well, anyway, it's a lot to absorb, a lot to think about. It's just a different perspective, and we're just presenting the information. Do what you will with it.
Well, we actually wanted to hear what people that we trust with and hang out with on the weekends. We wanted to hear what you guys thought about it.
Yeah.
Because it was coming to us in bits and pieces, and it's like, this is once one understands that there's a blueprint and there's a reason behind it all, it makes it so much easier to accept life that we live and the choices that we make. And how that affects the outcome of any given situation. But more importantly to me, it has a huge impact on how we perceive and experience what we need to go through the ascension. Because there is a way. This is part of it's like growing up.
Yeah.
It's like growing up, you know. You go through adolescence, you go through adulthood, and now I want
to go to the next level.
Yeah, I want something other than the Earth experience for change.
Yeah, here's what I wanted to say. Like this Earth, Earth is a testing ground, right? And it's a testing
like
ground for concepts. Yeah, but it's also like an experiment. And we've, in our history, we've come to several understandings of things that work and things that don't work. And one of the things that doesn't work is communism, right? And communism, what is that? That's collectivism. You know, what's the opposite of that? It's individualism.
Individualism, yes.
Yeah, that's what works. And we are all individual souls. And as individual souls, we are co-creators because we can split, we can create other souls. And each of those has their own volition, their own spirit and soul, their own consciousness, and because it's fractal, going all the way from top to bottom.
I agree. Yeah. Interesting. Well, guys, we're coming to the end of our hour and a half. I like to keep it at about an hour and a half if we can. So I really would like to get to some final thoughts. And let's go with Nick and Jasmine for the final thoughts, and we'll make our way up. How's that sound? Final thoughts on this soul division, expansion, awareness, ascension, all of this fully encompassed. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I'm going to keep it simple. We are all connected. Okay. We all have our individuality, and we all bring something unique to the table. We all bring something back to contribute. So make sure that the choices you're making are your choices, and that life is what you want it to be.
Awesome. Thank you, Jasmine. Appreciate you being here tonight and your input.
Yes, thank you.
Sir Nick?
Souls are a resource game. Don't let people convince you to trade it in for useless things like money or fame.
I like
you will regret it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Grandpa Brian?
Once you come to the realization, and I mean the true realization, that you are more than just this meat puppet here experiencing what it's like to be human.
Meat puppet, I like that.
That is when you will connect to your true soul.
Nice.
Perfectly said.
Black Raven, final thoughts for you, my dear. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. I've enjoyed you being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful.
You're very welcome.
Heart, head, and hands, right? Through that, creation happens. We observe that creation. There's a feedback loop, and we walk, right? And for me, it just has to be that easy. Like I said, I'm neurotic otherwise. I can get lost for months in text. So it just has to be that easy for me. You know, much like
keep it simple.
Keep it, I have to at this point. You know, like they were talking about earlier, you know, losing or allowing ourselves to let go of that super, for me, analytical part, which, you know, was definitely a confinement for
the mental brain part of it. And more the heart. If you're coming from a heart space, then you're really coming from the universal love that we are.
Yeah. And
instead of the human experience. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Dalibor, final thoughts for you, kind sir?
Yeah, well, it ties in with what Jasmine and Brian said. Basically, make sure every decision that you make is really your own decision. That you're not being affected by beings or entities that do not have your best interest at heart. Yeah. That's all I have to say. To make sure that do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. In other words, make sure that what you're doing is really in conformity with your true will.
I like it.
Yeah.
And our sweet Theresa, your final thoughts, my dear?
Well, I think that as we learn every day, everything we experience gets stacked onto our memory stack, you know, and some things get pushed way, way down inside of us, and some things bubble up to the surface more readily than others. But I think our subconscious mind is actually getting projected back to us in what we, how do I put this? What we perceive that's going on around us. And I'm talking about our extended selves, you know? beyond our conscious minds. That's what this does for me. So realizing the extent of you goes beyond just your conscious mind and extends all the way to this whole sphere of everything around your entire existence. I think that's the final key of knowledge that I needed to help lead me to a higher dimensional contact and aspect. And that's why I'm able to make contact now with higher aspects of myself and angelics and whoever I really need to reach out to.
Right.
The process to truly, what is it called? Know thyself. Remember that? It's a much bigger awakening than I ever thought it was.
Yeah.
It's on a grander scale. And it's a more encompassing version of what I really am. I'm more than what I thought I was.
Yeah. Isn't that a shocker?
That's what this does for you. Now, if that sounds like ego, I don't mean it to sound like ego, but it's an appreciation of all that is, because it makes me realize just how vast we really are, how divine we really are, and what we're really capable of. And the more, and I don't like to use the word division, but separation maybe. But that is part of life. It is part of nature. Cell division is what we do. And it's in every level of aspect. Why not on a soul level? And it's not separation. It's division for expansion. It's for exponential awareness and experiences. And that's what I get out of this. That's the value of it. And only creation, the source energy could have created that for us. So,
well,
anyway.
Thank you for that. I believe we're here to experience ourselves in every way possible. Yeah. It's an opportunity to know ourselves. And I'm really grateful for this. I think it is a absolute gift to be here on Earth and to be having this experience. So it's definitely humbling. And I'm here to learn more about myself and others. And to share that with other people has just really been very freeing, and being able to explore it on a platform like this has been incredible. And it's great to have people that resonate or don't resonate, that are free to give their opinions about what they believe in. That's important, and I don't think there's enough of that in the world. I think people are always taking sides and not being respectful of everyone's paths and the different paths that they're taking. So never stop learning. Yes, right, Robert. Never stop learning. Never stop asking the questions. So it's just a perspective, some food for thought. Go ahead, Grandpa Brian.
Yeah. Card for tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about the card.
Please.
Oh, gosh. Thank you.
Go for it, Brian. Go for it.
What I drew was ego, and it says, the illusion of being trapped. Accept responsibility for your situation and then make the choices that support your path to happiness.
Ooh,
so, and as you see, that it's breaking the chains, undoing the blindfold, and coming to find out who you truly are.
There you go. Yeah. Wow, that was beautiful, and an absolutely perfect ending to a wonderful show. Everyone, thank you so much. Everyone. Our guests tonight, the panel was phenomenal. Thank you, Black Raven, for joining us. Grandpa Brian, love you so much. Thank you for being here. Jasmine and Nick, you're such a pleasure to have on every week. Thank you for being here. Love you guys. Dalibor, our ride or die, thank you. Theresa, love you so much. Thank you, sister. Next week, watch for the trailer, and we will be seeing you then. Until then, have a wonderful weekend, and please do something nice for someone, even if it's for yourself.
That's right.
All right. Have a wonderful weekend.
Love you all. Good to see you.
Especially for yourself.
Yes. Peace and love, everyone. Peace and love.